All right, I'm gonna let you continue. I just had to make sure that people get the message because you're talking and you're speaking higher knowledge about it. I just got to break it down for people to get it from a normal standpoint.
Thank you. From just go to Revelation 13, 16 to 18, and you'll see where 666 comes in. It's the sign of the beast. It's the mark of the beast. The Earth curve calculator, again, that's mainstream sciences and NASA. That's what they use, not what people like me use. All places show no curve. Bridges, railroads, canals, oil pipelines, highways, no architecture, no blueprints, no engineering takes into account curve. Why? Because there is no curve. And if you have no curve, you can have no globe.
The map too is another thing. The flat map, it's kind of just like it just makes you like look at it and like, yo, why is there even a flat map if the Earth is round? Why don't y'all just stick to the globe and just leave it only the globe?
Yeah, there's through education, entertainment, brainwashing, ego, pride, Stockholm syndrome, and cognitive dissonance, we aren't allowed to think about it. It's hidden from us. So the fun thing about railroads is railroads are built to be able to take a little shimmy back and forth, left and right. Railroads are built that way. That they can take shimmy left and right, but they can't go over the top. They would decouple. So, a lot of times you'll see railroads, there are holes dug into mountains so they don't have to go over the mountain. They actually go, through the mountain, through a tunnel, because you can't take a railroad and move it up and over something because it may decouple. Now, obviously, you can go around because it can go left and right just fine, but it would decouple if it had to go over a curve. That's why they put tunnels through mountains so the railroad can go straight through it. So a train cannot go over a curve. And for those of you who live in the Midwest, Benton Harbor, Michigan to Chicago is 62 miles across Lake Michigan. You're looking east to west. If you move up, if you get to a third floor at one of the hotels there, which it's a little bit of a vacation spot, because it's on the beach and it's on Lake Michigan. You should have, if you have observation of 30 feet, you should have 2,038 feet of curve. Over those 62 miles at 30 feet observation height, you should have 2,038 feet of curve. If you're down the beach at 6 feet observation height, you should have 2,321 feet. But let's get up a little bit higher, get away from the waves, and go up to 30 feet. You should have 2,038 feet worth of curve. The Sears Tower, or the Willis Tower, which is the exact same thing in Chicago, is 1,450 feet tall. If you throw the antennas that they have on top of it, it goes a little bit over 1,700 feet. On a nice day, clear day, you can see all of Chicago. You see all of it. And the fascinating thing, because it looks east to west, and the sun is moving away, to the west, moving away from, sight, and the light moving away, you can actually see the sun set or move away behind Chicago. And the Earth curve calculator says that at 30 feet elevation height, 62 miles, the bend of the Earth, the curve, should start taking the sun away from your sight at 6.47 miles. Look it up, Earth curve calculator. NASA used, mainstream science used, Earth curve calculator.
It's time for the cognitive dissonance to be over, because it's like, even if somebody doesn't come to you and say, you know what, this is exactly what it is. I have this intel or this information that's telling us, you know what, the world is specifically flat, or like some people are saying flat earthers and stuff like that. I know you don't go with that. That's why I say biblical earth. But
That's great. That's a great term.
yeah, I like to go with that because I want to make sure, because I've been watching this stuff for a while. I've been intrigued with this whole flat earth thing and everything like that, and why people started, going for it and everything. But then I had to say, wait a minute, flat is not really necessarily flat. And then, like, the Bible talks about a dome and stuff like that. So I'm like, let's go with biblical. But nonetheless, whether you find the full information and detail or not, first of all, God says there's going to be certain mysteries you can't find. The sea is one of them, right? So cool. But when you see a massive effort to hide and conceal things, for instance, like details on flying out of space, there's a lot of hidden information about it. There's a lot of people that are silenced. There's a lot of people that work for these companies, for these satellite companies that can't really speak their piece. They gotta hide their profile to speak about it and stuff like that. Antarctica can't be viewed. You can't see what's going on in there. Hundreds and hundreds of questions, hundreds of things are being defied against, and hundreds of things are being lied about. And it has to come to a point where, okay, the Earth may be not be round, it may not be flat, it may be the dome, it may be this, it may be that. But it's a one thing for sure: this cognitive dissonance has to end. Is people have to realize that they lied to. Whatever it is, no matter what you believe or not, you have to accept the fact that you're being lied to. Clearly, the Earth is not round. You don't have to know exactly what's going on. None of us know everything.
Yeah, and it's great not to know everything because God knows. When you look up into the sky, when the sun and the moon are out at the same time, there's three things that I noticed when I went on this journey. One is if the moon is 238,000 miles away and it's in the sky and it's blue behind it when the sun is out, why is there blue sky behind the moon? Why is there blue sky behind the moon if the moon is 238,000 miles away and there's blue sky behind the moon? If you have a ping pong ball and you shine a light on it, if it's light outside and you shine a light on it, you can see the other side of the non-lit part of the ping pong ball. You can see it. But when the moon is up, when the sun is out, and they're both out in the sky, usually one's in the west and one's in the east, if the moon was 2,000 miles in diameter and a ball, you would be able to see the unlit part of the moon. You see blue sky. And then what I find fascinating is in late February and late May, I went out and the lit part of the moon it was like a quarter or maybe a little more than a quarter. It was looking up at about 1:30. If you use the clock, it was looking up. The lit part was moving up about 1:30. And the sun, and especially in February, was starting to, set. We couldn't see it anymore, and so the sun was like at about 5:30 on the moon, if you're using a clock. But the lit part of the moon was looking up higher in the sky at 1:30. Therefore, the sun was not lighting the moon. The moon is self-illuminating. God put two lights in the sky. He put the moon for the night. He put the sun for the day. He put two lights in the sky. He made them
Wait,
both self-illuminating, and it's God's handiwork.
I
Go
got a
ahead.
question on that. The moon. See,
Yeah.
it always been a problem for me with the whole since I was probably 10 to 12 for this one. The moon, they're claiming for the moon to be you know, a solid planet, right? But then when you look in the sky, you see half of the moon. Sometimes it looks like it's like a hologram. Sometimes it's like you can see through it a little bit. Sometimes, like you said, the sky is behind it and all that. But that means you could also see through it in a sense a little bit. So it's just like, how is this something solid that you landed on? This is something I've been asking myself since I was young.
What was fascinating about Apollo 11 is that Apollo 11 was July of 1969. I'll move back 2 months. May of 1969, Apollo 10 supposedly went to the moon 238,000 miles away and circled it, orbited it 31 times. 31 times when they could have taken a picture of the stars from the dark side of the moon. The most perfect time to take pictures of the stars would be when you're on the dark side of the moon. No sun, no atmosphere, supposed no atmosphere in the way. Not one picture was taken. Not one. 31 times, not one picture was taken. Michael Collins, who was, stayed supposedly in the command module on Apollo 11 when Aldrin and Armstrong were down on the moon. He was asked at the press conference on August 12th, 1969. It's on YouTube. It's 83 minutes long. Somebody in the audience, when they did their first interview as a group, first press conference, they asked Armstrong, "Did you see any stars?" Armstrong said no. And Michael Collins leans in and goes, "I didn't see any stars either." So Michael Collins, when he orbited the moon and the dark side, when Aldrin and Armstrong were down there, didn't see any stars, even though that's all he would have seen on the dark side of the moon. It's just absolutely amazing. At the same press conference, they asked him, what did you first see when you looked outside the lunar lander? He said, I waited for the dust to settle before I could see. You look at NASA supplied photos of Apollo 11, there is no blast crater. There's no crater where the dust went out from. And the four little pads that the lunar lander was sitting on had no dust on it. There was no blast crater. It was just placed there in a studio somewhere. That's all that happened. You never see the little moon buggy, the lunar, the little thing they ran around on the Earth, on the moon, in their little dune buggy or their little golf cart. You never see them putting it together, coming out from underneath the LEM. You remember, who was holding the camera when Armstrong went down the ladder? Was the camera just there? This is 1969 technology. When they put the flag up, it blew in the wind. There is no wind on the moon. If you look at the shadows, they took some pictures. There should be one shadow source or one light source on the moon. It's the sun. One. They took some photos. You can go look. You can Google it. They don't hide the truth on this one. You have shadows going in two different directions. There should only be going in one direction. You have shadows going in two different directions. I'm sorry, folks, they didn't land on the moon. They just didn't. And then if you zero in on the silver part of the lunar lander where the astronauts supposedly lived for 3 days, if you look at it, it looks like a science project that was put together on Thursday for a Friday science project that was due. That thing looked like it cost $400 to put together. Look at it closely. Zoom in on it. Find something that's close. It looks like a piece of garbage. And the bottom part of it looks like aluminum foil and black tape. That's all it looks like. I'm sorry, folks. I hate to destroy your patriotism. I hate to destroy the fact that you believed it all your life. But they did not go to the moon. They didn't go to the moon because of Newton's third law of motion, and they didn't go to the moon. Maybe the most significant thing that's ever happened to mankind in the last, maybe history, was July 20th, 1969, when Armstrong went down the ladder and said his famous words, "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," something like that. It didn't happen. It did not happen. But our patriotism gets in the way. Our cognitive dissonance gets in the way. Just a couple more things. Just a couple more things, and I know you guys have been awesome. Let me on.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we
Yeah.
definitely we dominated. I think for this video, I'm gonna put a whole bunch of images and stuff like that of some of the stuff that you're speaking about.
I'll send you some on a PM.
Oh
I'll
yeah,
be happy.
That'd
I'll be
be
sure.
happy
good.
to. I'll
Yeah.
be happy to.
This is
You-
exactly what I wanted, like just to make
yeah.
sure it's clear. Like whoever watches this video, they gonna do some research or they just gonna be bored after this. This is it.
Exactly. Again, you three have been great. Thank you. On I-5, that goes north south, San Francisco to L.A., Los Angeles. It's 383 miles, Interstate 5. Should be over 18 miles of curve going down from L.A. From San Francisco to L.A. It's not down, it's over. Forgive me, I messed up again. It's over. There is no mention of curvature anywhere in the construction. There is no curvature over those 383 miles, where it should be 18 miles with a curvature. The Suez Canal, 102 miles long. There should be 6,900 feet of curve. This is water, the Suez Canal. Water, large bodies of water at rest, unmanipulated by weather, cannot bend or curve. There is no curve in the Suez Canal over those 102 miles. It's straight and it's level. It's sea level. It's level. Now, it may not be sea level, 0 feet sea level, but it is level. There is no bend or curve over that 102 miles. The Dangyang Kanshan, I hope I said that right, the Dangyang Kanshan Grand Bridge in China is 102.4 miles long. There should be 6,900 feet of curve. That's 1.32 miles. There is no curve. It doesn't exist. No engineering, no architecture, no blueprints. It doesn't exist. FE Core, FE and then CORE, FE Core 2018. They have a number of videos on it on YouTube or BitChute, whichever you decide. 25 miles across the lake. One laser has 9 feet observation height. The other one has 6 feet observation height, 15 feet total at 25 miles, according to the Earth Curve Calculator. Mainstream science, NASA used Earth Curve Calculator. There should be 273 feet worth of curve. The lasers can see each other. Utah, 2021, 18.8 miles across a lake. It was 34 degrees that day, almost perfect conditions. 6 feet on one laser, 5 feet observation on another. There should be 145 feet worth of curve. Lasers can see each other. And so that shows you that we don't live on a globe or a planet. Radar. Radar was invented, line of sight, straight line. The military, when they see something, they shoot it. They don't worry about Coriolis effect, and they don't worry about the bend of the earth. The curve of the earth. They don't worry. The military sees something, they shoot it. They don't worry about those other things. Now a sniper over a mile may worry about wind, but they don't worry about over a mile. They don't worry about the 8 inches, and they don't worry about the Coriolis effect that the earth may move above the bullet when it's moving. They don't worry about those things. They see it and they shoot it. Radar at 60 miles. If you're out into the ocean, a ship is out there. The radar is not going to be on the water. It's going to be up in the ship a little bit. So let's say it's 100 feet up in the ship, height in the ship, 100 feet observation height, and they want to ping something 60 miles away. At 100 feet observation height, 60 miles away, there should be 1,520 feet worth of Earth curve they have to worry about. Radar was built line of sight, straight line. So radar would not work over a curve or over a bend of a globe. It does not work. There are 170 bridges in this world, 170 bridges plus, that are over 3 miles long. 10 of them are over 22 miles long. None of them show architecture, engineering, or blueprints, and visually curve. You cannot see any curve whatsoever. So, how do we explain all this? How do we explain it all? We can't.
Exactly.
You can't explain any of it because you've been told a lie about the shape of the ground that you literally walk on, that you've never experienced curve yourself ever. You've never experienced it. Once they put a globe in every classroom, I don't know if it was the 50s or 60s, I have no idea. Once they put a globe in every classroom, in every kindergarten, and every first grader, and every year after that saw their globe in the classroom, it was over. The indoctrination was over. They didn't have to do it. They didn't have to do anything else. And then once you got out of school, they gave you Hollywood. They gave you Universal, the globe, circling with Universal coming out in front of it. They gave you they gave you the globe in commercials. They gave you the globe in Star Trek. They gave you the globe in all these movies, Star Wars. They gave you the globe. You had no other choice. You were a goner. You were a goner. So again, the last point, and you guys have been great. Thank you. The last point, in 2023, Space Force will get $24.5 billion. NASA will get $25.5 billion with a B. That's $50 billion with a B. Divide that by 365 days. That's short of $137 million a day. Or let's just call it $136 million a day for not going into outer space. What could they do with all that money for homeless in this country? What could they do with that money to feed
In this country?
and around the world too? What could they do to feed the hungry in this country and around the world? And let me tell you this. I believe it was 2020. The militaries of the world spent 2.1 trillion with a T, 2.1 trillion on military. The United States spent about 800 billion of that. 2.1 trillion dollars, and every military, every government, 206 nation states recognized by the UN are controlled politicians, politics. They're for puppets only, and they're there to distract us, divide us, and cause division. That's the only reason we see it on TV. We have Fox News that is on one side, and then we have CNN that's on the other side, and we're pitted against each other, and we think our vote matters. Somebody once said, if voting mattered, they wouldn't let us do it.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
standing on your truth and, you know, trusting us with our platform that you can be free with your speech. I really appreciate everything that you said. Pretty much everything that we wanted answered, those questions. And yes, we do have to do our own research. I mean, I'm homeschooling my daughter and they're still teaching about how the moon shines because of the reflection of the sun and yada yada. They still teaching the same thing even in homeschool. So it's really just about, and I explained to her today, I'm just like, eventually when you get older, you'll discover the truth for yourself because you don't understand. It's overwhelming right now for you all. And I'm sorry that you guys are going through this. This is what the world is. It is evil. We live in an evil world. And we just have to keep God amidst of everything and keep trusting this is his creation. This is his plan, and we cannot give all the credit to the devil. It's absolutely not. He
Right.
works for God. He cannot do anything without God's permission. And yes, when we make mistakes, we do catch those burns and we get chastised by the devil. He with permission from God. So it doesn't make sense when it's the same thing when it comes to non-believers. You believe in a devil who claims and that there is no God and lies to you and tells you there is no God, but he himself works for God. God is not a man that he should lie. That is written. God is not a liar. And his handiworks, he proves it every day in the sky. It amazes me how much he shows his handymanship. No one can explain why the sun and the moon is in the air at the same time because it started to really dawn on me recently during the last past, like you said, 28 months. I noticed the sun and the moon in the air at the same time, broad daylight, and I'm like, okay, so God is showing his hand because now everybody's being exposed. The spirit of truth is here, and we just got to open our eyes and see it for what it is. Yes, our forefathers of this corporation got rid of many of our people, many of my tribe per se of Indians, indigenous people. Andrew Jackson himself, they had the nerve to put in an Indian removal act just to get this to be their safe space. This country, this corporation that they call country, is their safe space. I just wish that they would just take it somewhere else. Go back wherever you came from because you're trying to divide humanity. At this point, they are trying to completely obliterate humanity. You got robots everywhere. You understand? And it's humiliating. It's humiliating.
Yeah, it's crazy. But this is what this conversation is for. You know what I'm saying? This conversation is about waking up the minds and bringing people that knowledge and that intellect to search for deeper. And it may strike somebody's belief system to be stronger because it's a lot of smarts to it. And God wants us to be smart. And this is proof that God wants us to be smart when you got somebody like What a World speaking so articulately about the topics. So we're gonna close out right here. This is Creative Collection. This is Biblical Earth versus Science.
This is informational. This is educational. Just like the other side may put out their theories for educational purposes, but we are speaking from the spirit of truth. Okay, because when we ask questions and you can't answer it, then that proves our point right there. Because the devil can read the Bible just as well, and he can quote every scripture just as well. So we have our side, and you have to respect our side, just like you want us to respect your side. That's fair. That's fair. And I don't want this to be a discouragement, because we do have a generation of people that's in the military here, and they are serving our country. And I think a majority of everyone in my family, they serve the country. It's just a shame of how they go about using people, how they use people to serve this country, the means behind every single war and cause and effect, that you got people really dedicating their lives for this country. And to just hear the backstory behind it, people did their research. You wouldn't have a military. You didn't have anything. You wouldn't have nobody in the waters watching the waters. If people knew what was going on, you wouldn't be working for these people. But I understand people take it as a means of survival. We cannot judge. It's not our job, but it is our job to inform. As God's people, it is our job to inform our fellow brothers and sisters. So don't shoot the messengers. You don't have to follow us, but take the message.
I just wanted to add from last Saturday, I think it was a little over 2 hours, we had a talk with 6 or 7 people, and everybody was polite. Nobody interrupted anybody, and nobody used vulgar or bad language. And I salute everybody here and those people last Saturday night. You were all awesome. Thank you.
Thank
Blessings.
you. And you're very welcome.
Yeah. We got our sponsors too. Before we go out, we got our sponsors.
Nuestra Salud. And all your herbal remedies and anything you need, please follow Squeaky Clean Juices X Gems with a J.
All right. Much blessings to everybody.
Blessings to everyone. Thank you, Water World.
Take care.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Be
All
safe
right.
now.
See you guys on the next one. Signing out, King Design, Royalty Monroe, and DJ Squeaky Monroe.
This is a war on religion. This is a war on the children. They give you the cure with the sickness. This is a war on tradition. This is a war on religion.